actually stand for the invocation by Mr. Lupo.
Almighty God, please watch over all of our deliberations and guide us to do all that is good for our community. Protect all of us in our daily activities as we strive to serve our citizens. We ask that you aid and comfort anyone in need, especially Reverend Sandy Spalding, who recently lost her brother. We ask these things in your good name.
In 1979, the owner of the property that is now the Candlelight Home subdivision presented the city with a plan showing where he wanted to build about 25 homes. The plan showed where lots, roads, and perpetual public easements would be. The city council and the mayor approved the plan, and the mayor signed his approval. The easements were 5-foot wide, perpetual public easements. I am a member of the public, and I want to access to my public easements. I had access to the easements for more than 30 years. Then the City of Port Richey Permitting Department, City Manager Tom O'Neill, and City Building Official Goldberg allowed a resident to erect 2 fences across one of the public easements. This violates the agreement Why does the current city government allow a violation of a signed agreement between the city and the builder and a city ordinance to go on and on when a solution is so easily reachable? I did not expect the Taylor-O'Neill regime to do the right thing, but I did think the new City of Port Richey governing body would follow city ordinances. Please turn the fences and allow the public access to the public easements. Thank you.
Sure Mr. Matthew will look into that for you, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
David Solheim.
David Solheim, 5538 Quist Drive. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Imagine this. It is an early Sunday evening. We are at Waterfront Park. Folks are driving through our newly gated entrance and parking their cars. They get out and carry their blankets and picnic basket to the grassy knoll in the center of the park. While they are having their cold chicken and 3-bean salad, an announcer standing on the stage area of our newly refurbished pavilion welcomes everyone to the first Port Richey evening concert in the park. With that, the New Port Richey Orchestra starts the show, hopefully with a John Philip Sousa patriotic tune. Could we have this Park, we have something like this here in Port Ritchie. I don't know why not. We have the park, we have the grassy knoll, we have the parking. The question is, will we have the pavilion? I noticed that the architect plans calls for our pavilion to be taken down. But now that the old wood has been taken down, we see there's a pretty strong structure underneath. So, my question to you all is, will you call a timeout on this one facet of the architect's plan and not go ahead and just pull the pavilion down?
She's wrong.
Well, hold for 1 second, because I haven't heard of this.
Nobody's heard of that.
I don't believe there is a plan to pull that down.
There is no plan to pull that pavilion down.
Okay, the architect plan, it's a 10-year plan that we paid, I think, $37,000 for a couple of years back.
Sir, that's a couple years back, and as far as this administrator is concerned, it's ancient history. We are working to improve that specific pavilion. We have already removed some of the rotting timbers. We are working, Mr. Muse is working on redesigning some additional features to that at minimal expense. We are working to improve it, not tear it down, sir.
That's good news. That was my
Yeah.
concern, and I'm not complaining. I'm just bringing here, making a plea that not happen, because as far as my knowledge goes until now, I have a copy of the architect's plans, the original plans. In fact, I submitted my own for the park. But in those plans, it calls for that to be replaced with a nautical theme and something else.
What year
Mr.
plan-
Stolheim, I am more than happy to assuage your concerns about pulling that structure down. It will not occur.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
as far as, you haven't drawn any plans, have you, Bill, recently? Well, it had to be recently.
Sure. We have studies we're working on it, yes.
Okay, and any major changes in that, in what we have?
Not to the building, we're adding some sunscreen, but not to the building, we're not tearing it down by any means. We determined
Okay.
it does not
I
need to be
think
torn down.
all we've been doing is replacing fascia,
Right.
boards and things like that.
Right, okay, that's fine. When this originally started, we were all asked to participate years ago, and I submitted 4 pages of computer-drawn plans that practically match what we have now. The biggest difference was mine were free, theirs were like $37,000. And now, I can't believe I'm actually doing this again, but it's a new board and new faces, and it's my hope that if I go ahead, and now that you said I could, thinking about this, I view that pavilion that's there now as a city asset, that we could, until it's been determined, no, we can't do anything with it. It's there, we own it, and people use it every single day.
Yes.
So I just want to submit some more plans to you and all you folks, making some suggestions how we could dress that up so that we could have a concert in the park on a regular basis.
You are echoing many of the different requests we've already received. And most assuredly would have anything that you care to, anything that you would care to submit to us, we'd be more than happy to look at.
Okay, and I know you've had, well, anyway, without going into personalities, my plans got lost. And it's a shame, because like I said, they included almost everything we have and then some. So I already have some drawings started on adding some additional structures to the structure we have to really make it look nice.
That's our intention, sir.
Okay, and if we do, I hope there's somebody here thinking that they would like to be part of the new Friends of the Park organization club that I hope will start in this community. And it would kind of be up to them to get involved and raise funds and have fundraisers for the parks.
Is there such a?
There
group?
was.
Was a
There
group?
was years ago.
Was there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We might
you're
resurrect
giving me
that.
a lot of fertile ground here, thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
I have looked at your sidewalks, by the way, and I agree with you that we need to address them. Money will be a problem and it will take a while, but we're not forgetting you.
Yeah, they look, I think the bathroom, in all honesty, in the park looks worse than our sidewalks. So,
The bathroom
in Waterfront Park,
I've,
I don't wanna get off on that, but it's, that's something that,
you mean inside them or being able to?
All of them. We're working on all of them, believe me.
when we pull into the park now through our new gate there, we've got those two big doors, they're like eyeballs staring at you.
It's worse than that.
I have a plan that calls for a wall that would be incorporated in a whole deal, and all new bathrooms.
We're already concentrating on that, sir.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I will be
think
too.
even
and I
a
wanna bring it
lattice
here and,
work
talk
could
to you
be.
about it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that, sir. Mr. Vera.
Good afternoon, Your Highness. How are you?
I am doing
Well,
well.
listening to the
And
public.
I'm glad for the promotion.
Listening to the public, I think you're doing a lousy job.
Well, I appreciate that
That's my
from you.
opinion, sir.
Do we have a name and address here?
Please.
Sorry?
Name and
Can you
address.
give us your name and address, please?
7810 Chapel Avenue.
And your name?
George F. Vera.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, this is a normal procedure that you give your name and
No,
address
because
when you
I
speak to the
think
council.
You were doing a lousy job. Period. That's my opinion. I have First Amendment rights to express it. I think the mayor is doing a lousy job.
You've got
He's
your-
collecting money from charity corporations when he's not supposed to. Okay? 7% charitable corporations. I've owned 3 of them, I know. It's a federal program, okay, that you do not collect sales tax from any St. Paul, Mrs. Paul, or any Catholic charities. That's what I want to charge him with.
Please do.
I am.
Please do.
I am.
Because you are.
You are
full of
called,
it.
you are doing grand theft to the public.
Please put
That's what you're
that-
doing.
Do it.
I spoke to Bill Arakis, I spoke to FTL, law enforcement, you're gonna be hearing from them. That's right.
Listen,
And
sir,
the city
you're
attorney-
laughable, but you still
The
got.
city
to-
attorney can go with me toe to toe anytime he wants. Anytime he wants. And Lupo too. Lupo too. I used to like him. I don't like him no more. I think he's doing a lousy job.
Well, it's your opinion.
That's right. My opinion. You're gonna see. Starting next week. You're under congressional investigation. You know that, right?
I'm
As we
sorry.
speak, you're under congressional investigation. I ordered it.
Oh, okay.
I ordered it.
Call Donald.
Gaspar Larakis, his father, Jack Mariano, Mike Fasano, okay? You want to hear more names? John Legg, plenty. It's
Donald
not from
Trump?
Washington all the way down.
Donald
This
Trump,
Puerto Rican here is gonna teach you a lesson.
I appreciate that. You keep me
Thank
in
you, sir.
line,
I'm
sir.
glad that you appreciate it. Yeah, any questions for me?
No, I think you answered them.
I did?
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between a non-profit and profit corporation? Do you know the difference?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain it to me? I would
don't
like to
think-
hear it.
I'm not in, no,
The
I'm
attorney
not
don't know
respo-
either.
I'm not
'Cause
responsible for your
The
education.
first time I asked the question, all of you looked at each other. 501c3, what the hell does that mean? It means charitable corporation, you do not touch their money. It belongs to the public.
Thank you,
Not
Mr.
to the
Vera.
city.
I had my own.
Not to the
Bible.
city.
Thank you, Mr. Vera.
Yes, sir.
I think you live in Newport Richie.
I got 2 addresses, here and Newport Richie.
Could, Mr. Barcelo, would you check this 70?
Sir, may I say a little word, please?
No.
No, sir. What is he talking about?
He's gonna send you back to Iraq.
To Iraq.
Yeah.
I'm Lebanese. Okay. Anyone else from the public?
Let's call this a day.
Okay. Mr. Lupo.
Yes, council. I have several issues, and I'm sorry to take more time up, but I think these are some rather significant issues that the city needs to hear and in many cases be proud of. First of all, we have advertised electronically and in the newspaper for contract services. The City of Port Richey will accept sealed bids for a contractor to prepare a dredged materials management area known as a DMMA for a city dredging project. A copy of the specifications for this project is available at City Hall. Proposals will be accepted until 3:30 p.m. on Friday, June 2nd, 2017, and read aloud Friday, June 2nd, 2017 at 3:45 p.m. in council chambers. This initiates the beginning of the long-awaited dredging procedures for the City of Port Richey. Advertised in the paper, we've already receiving some comments with respect to it. The city is on its way to an eventual dredging program. This is the first step necessary and required. I would like to inform council on a different subject. I would like to inform council that Newport Richey City Manager Debbie Manns and I are arranging a meeting with Mr. Dan Biles, the new Pasco County Administrator, to discuss his recent comments about reducing some county enclaves in our cities. Ms. Manns and I believe that the meeting will be an extremely positive event for the county and our communities. This should help to resolve several different issues with respect to enclaves. With respect to the waterfront parking, I'd like to give you a small update. There'll be a legally permitted parking lot across from Nick's Park capable of use by vehicles or trucks with boat trailers, and is scheduled to be open for business this coming or by next week, the following week. We are continuing to attempt to provide information to the owner of another potential parking site across from the waterfront park. There are still issues that must be resolved before that site can be properly opened. The proprietor of a third site alongside of Hooters has, as of this date, failed to properly address the necessary issues so that he also can properly utilize that site for parking. And we continue to work with all three entities, but we're beginning to seriously address some of the parking issues with respect to our community. On a different note, we have been notified that this area is in a phase 1 water shortage, and a phase 1 water shortage order has been issued. This is simply a reminder that all of us should be very careful and mindful of the amounts of water that we utilize, and in particular, to adhere to the already set schedule that you're already used to with respect to lawn water services. At this state, there is no further restrictions on what already exists, but this is the first phase 1 water shortage order, and another one may follow.
Mr. Lupo, does that order change?
It does not,
daily lives of-
does not change any advisories at this time, and their watering cycles as promulgated with respect to the times and dates of your watering cycle remains the same based on the last numbers of your residents. That hasn't changed, so your watering cycle is the same. We just would request that you be more mindful of the amount of water that you use. And you certainly can obtain a copy of that simply by calling the office here. On another good note, we have been advised that the City of Port Richey has been ranked number 144th out of a group of 30,000 examined U.S. towns as a town recognized the best in U.S. cities for first-time homeowners. It's a rather significant statement made by this organization, the Land Educational Group, and they have made it available along with all of the statistics on how it was boiled down from 30,000 to 500, and then from 500 further down. Every single community listed, and we ranked 144th. And on another nice note, I'm pleased to announce that on this coming Monday, May 15th, 2017, at 6 p.m., we will be conducting the ribbon-cutting ceremony to celebrate the reopening of the Limestone Street Fishing Pier, and all are welcome.
And thank you. Oh, you're so long.
One other issue from Police Captain Barcelo, you have a commendation to read, I believe?
Yes, sir. Eric, can you hear me? Okay, good. I just wanted to recognize code enforcement officers, Sherry Ewald and Alec, I'm gonna botch this, Remiziski? No? Okay. Remezowitz, okay. While they were out at Wilkins Street and Ritchie Drive, they observed some people trespassing in a wooded area. Immediately, because they're on the same radio frequency as we are, actually they have radios now, they were able to call Officer Cox to the scene, which ended up, it resulted in a warrant arrest of a female, which was a felony warrant arrest, that she was wanted from out of county. So I just wanted to give them a round of applause, basically, and say thank you very much for being another set of eyes out there. They did a great job and took somebody off the streets that had a felony warrant that everybody was looking for. So I just want to make that known and thank them again.
Thank you, and we do thank them.
That's the end of the report, sir.
Okay. Bring it to count, 144 out of 30,000.
144 out of 30,000. They whittled it down to 500 and then down to 200, and then out of that, we're 144 for first-time home buyers.
Well, Mr. Vera must be wrong, but, okay, guys, bring it to the council. Any thoughts?
Great news all around.
Nance?
Yep, great, ditto.
All good, great.
All good?
Super.
Okay. I'll say more than that. I think this is the fastest we've run, Mr. Lupo, and since I've been in this city. And I appreciate your work and Bill's work and Chris's and certainly Chief's. We are moving. This city looks great. I think everybody that I talk to is elated.
Well, I think the timing is excellent, Mayor. I was telling Mr. Lupo earlier that, unless I'm wrong, they had told me a long time ago that the 15th of May is the birthday of this city. So the opening of that pier again on a city's birthday, I think, is
Beautiful.
fabulous. The opening of the pier, period, I think is fabulous.
That is.
And I've waited a long time, and I have a lot of people waiting to use it, so.
Okay, any other?
I do have one question about the DMA that you've advertised for the contractors for that. Does this mean we have a task order written on this at this point, or we have to get this done to get the task order in?
This is, pardon me?
We did do that. We haven't.
The task order is part and parcel of the response that that will be delivered to the contractors. They will pull all of the different requirements from our engineer of record, and at that point in time, we will be coming back after a committee is selected with the best group. And at that point in time, when you select that group, they will receive the specific task order. But they will, in fact, be reviewing all of the information presented by our engineers with respect to this. So we're moving forward with respect to that.
Okay. Well, is that still recognized as we're moving forward and they know that in regard to our permits?
They will
The only
be,
thing I'm concerned about is we had this time binding thing.
and that's why there's specific dates. We
Okay.
have set up a chronological order of waypoints that we must reach in order to keep on that schedule. And we hope to be at least a month ahead of that schedule before the issue with respect to our permits arises, at least a month, if not more. Our engineers of record, once we select the contractor and they move forward, that information will then be transported or transmitted to the Corps of Engineers and the permit grantors so that they can recognize that we are in fact doing the very first step necessary for dredging.
Okay, that was important to know that we're making our deadlines.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm right, but we're obviously not gonna finish the project in time, but the more we get down the road, the less likely we're to get a reevaluation request.
I don't seriously anticipate any difficulties with respect to the extension of our permit, provided that we can continue to meet the timetable that we're on and demonstrate in good faith to the issuing permitters that we have indeed begun the process. The expense that we will be incurring in order to get to that stage should make it abundantly clear to the issuers that we are in earnest with respect to meeting the deadlines and beginning the process. Once they accept that and extend it, that extension should last through the entire dredging process.
Now, then, another thing I'd like to bring, as with Ms. Sorrell, the further along we get, I think the easier it becomes for them to say, Port Richey's on its way. And for the general public, when I signed that task order, that officially began the dredge, correct?
You cannot dredge until that task order is started, yes, sir, basically. But you
Right.
cannot dredge from the canals until the DMMA site is prepared. It is part and parcel of the requirement to dredge. So by fulfilling this task order and spending several hundreds of $1,000s in getting it accomplished, the permitting, the issuers of the permits will understand that we are in earnest. We're just not gonna throw several $100,000 away for no reason at all. And it would be, as you say, more likely, more easy, if you will, for them to make the leap and extension of the permit.
Okay.
The issue is for us in administration to adhere to a very strict timetable so that we have additional time and latitude to have any discussions with the issuing permitters.
And I'd like to suggest this to council. There are a few channels that are, so to speak, low-hanging fruit. For instance, the one in front of the DMMA site can be done by land. We don't have to mobilize barges. We can do that one by land. The one by waterfront.
Mayor, if I may, I know where your heart is, and I know you're speaking with all good intentions. We have obtained a legitimate firm by the name of Dewberry,
Right.
who will indeed lay all of that out. If there is a shortcut in there that any of us become aware of, I would presume that Dewberry is there way ahead of us. And if you make us aware of anything, as you say, low-hanging fruit, we'll be more than happy to transmit it to Dewberry. But we have to let them get their, this process ongoing in order to keep to the schedule.
Well, the reason I'm trying to push this forward is we know we're gonna get this DMMA site done. That channel can be done by land. There's another channel by land, and I'm sure the council might find others that we can do. Saves a lot of money if you don't have to have a
But
barge.
he's saying Dewberry will tell us which ones they can do by land.
No, I think we have to tell Dewberry, because we live here and we know which ones they are. And if you take a drive around,
Mayor, we have a limited amount of funds. The funds that we have are approximately $337,000 of CRA funds to be used initially, as the CRA committee agreed to fund this portion. Behind that is supposedly $666,000 that we will be then utilizing to further the line. I am, and I have been discussing, and I'm preparing for alternatives beyond the $337,000 in the event that we don't get to $666,000. I am working to ensure that the primary objective is not only the preparation of this DMMA site, but the extension of the permit. Once we have these two things accomplished, we will then move forward on about 3 or 4 different branches. But our primary objective is stay with what we've got on the timetable. And any effort to bleed time away from Dewberry's efforts or this future contractor's efforts will actually slow us down, and we cannot afford that.
What I'm suggesting is, and I have 2 canals, again, that can be done by land, very inexpensively, and I think within our budget. Having 2 canals already dredged, if Dewberry were, if this council wants to authorize Dewberry to do the 2 channels I'm speaking of, one of which is in front of the DMMA site, one is the south channel of Waterfront Park. Both of those can be reached by land, no mobilizations done. One contractor told me actually he could do that entire canal if he had the engineering in one day.
Just a quick question. I don't understand how the channel where the DMMA site is could be done from land. We do own that one piece of property where the DMA site is, but the rest of that property all the way up through is owned by other people. And I don't want somebody coming in with something in my backyard, and unless they feel like giving me a new seawall.
No, the west side, the people that own the west side have come to me and said, you can come on our land. That'd be Craig Scott, who owns 3 of those lots, another lot. And so if you went
So
from.
even the Mallets too are gonna approve that?
The Mallets aren't on that.
Yeah, they are. They're on that point.
Very,
Yeah.
Mayor, if I may help you.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Ma-
they're right behind Crab Shack. And
Mayor, if
Yes,
I may
please.
help you.
Yes, please.
You-
Yes,
you
we
are-
can reach
you-
60 feet from wherever Lester would, and I don't blame him, I wouldn't want him, but the others are industrial, and they want
Mayor,
that.
you're walking on shelf ice. You're walking on quicksand. I would strongly advise you to just leave it where it's at right now. And as soon as we progress a little bit further into this issue, we can come back and rediscuss different opportunities. But at this stage in the game, I'm lockstep. I have to be very honest with you. I will not deviate from the program that we have established, from the calendar that we have established, and from that routine. I recognize that there are other opportunities that may become available to us. I will not budge unless this council orders me to from the course that I have set with Dewberry Engineers and the course that I have advised earlier. And again, I recognize your good intentions, sir. Believe me, I do. It's the same as every council member here. But I must caution you, I'm lockstep. And separate conversations may present us problems in the future. So I would please advise you to keep your heart in check for just a little bit longer until we move down this process.
That my heart is in check, and I'm just trying to tell the council there are opportunities that we might
I agree.
put in quickies.
I agree.
So, and you may look around the city and say, but there's an empty lot here, the empty lot here. If we can obtain permission, we can scoot, quit making that face. I don't know if that's your normal face. But there are very inexpensive canals that can be done. And the more we have done, the less likely we're gonna have the scuba diver looking for a piece of grass. Done.
Consent agenda.
We're still at council. Any other thoughts? I have several. Ready for mine? Okay, Sun Cruz, I believe you have I've had several emails from people at Sand Pebble. One lady lost a $10,000 dock because the Sun Cruise, one captain apparently comes through very quickly. Her dock was ripped out by the water he's pushing. And I know Captain Barcelo is aware of it, and he's gonna look into it. I believe you've talked to
I have, yes, sir. I have personally spoken to the owners of Sun Cruise and alerted them to this issue and warned them of the consequences of undue wakes, and that there are repercussions for improperly handling their craft.
Okay, and the other question I have, Council Mayor may think this is crazy or maybe not. If we're not patrolling the river now, and we probably don't need to. We have Fish and Wildlife, we have Coast Guard, Pasco County, but there is apparently one captain that comes through regularly, besides the New Yorkers that don't know what minimum means, and,
Well, you're gonna get calls from New York.
oh boy. I don't know what the legalities are, but I'd like to ask Jim to look at it. If a patrolman was on Sunset and he sees these,
Mayor, please. The captain and the chief of police are on top of this day and
I'm
night.
asking a question.
I know you are,
to my
and
attorney.
I'm trying to keep our learned counselor from getting involved because of potential future issues.
Of enforcing the law?
Sir, yes, sir. Or-
Okay, so we're not gonna enforce that law. I think that I've had enough. We've got Sun Cruise, we've got parking. Go forward. Anyone else want to speak to this, any of these? As long as, and I just want to say, Mr. Lupo, if you were to consider that, I haven't seen the flow chart. I would like one.
No problem.
Can-
I'll be more than happy to distribute to all council members.
And, you know, and just keep in mind that I've done this for 16 years with the DEP.
Yes, sir?
And they are absolutely, they're insane.
No, sir, no, sir.
Don't
They-
say that.
They're not, far from it, sir.
I don't think they listen to this,
No,
but,
they are administrators, sir, and then they follow the law, and as do we, and we are in lockstep together.
well, and, you know, I kind of think you know what you're doing, but I just want to make sure of it. But Jim and I were at a meeting with the DEP at one point.
Trust
They
but
wanted a
verify, sir.
Semi-permeable membrane over the entire waterfront park.
We got one?
That, just swear to God.
I think Will's tired of sitting.
What?
Yeah,
I think Will needs to get up and
he
move.
needs to get up and move.
Okay, we are at the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
First reading, Mr. Matthew, ordinance 17658.
This is the housekeeping ordinance. It's the one ordinance we have out there with the figures in it, so once we do this, we won't need to do it again, just whatever. The county changes their fee structure, which is once every couple of years. We just need to change the one ordinance instead of all of them. This one's still floating out there. Having said that, is the first reading by title only of ordinance number 17-658, and ordinance of the Code of the City of Port Richey, Florida, amending Chapter 12 Emergency Services, Article 2, Fire and Security Alarms, Section 12-20, penalties assessed for false alarms, and providing for severability and an effective date. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to, okay.
Go ahead.
I have a motion
Motion to
and a second.
Ordinance number 17658.
Motion second. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's it.
We're at old business, Mrs.
I
Sorrell.
have two small things that don't need a lot of discussion, just need an answer.
You just want a yes, right?
Just a real short one, okay? Somebody asked me if the Easter egg hunt is part of the city, what the city does, or if it's just strictly the churches, the local churches that are sponsoring that. Do we know?
It's mostly, it's the local churches that get together and do it, and they put it together, they do all the work. We don't have any input at all.
None.
That's what I thought, since we hadn't discussed it before, but somebody asked me that, and I thought that I was correct in
Although-
answering it that way.
Yeah, but although, that being said, we did require them to get, $1 million,
Liability insurance.
liability insurance, and I'd like to kind of look at that next year, but we can talk about that then.
Okay.
And the other second one is our newsletter. Are we still working on that so that we can keep the people informed of what's going on?
Very honestly, I haven't moved forward with that. I've been trying to get some other things accomplished, but I'll be more than happy to begin one in May.
Okay.
I'd like to see each councilman have a paragraph that, from their view.
You can certainly present
you
it to
guys
us, and
like
we'll be more than happy to include it verbatim.
Okay, and I'm gonna go back to one more thing, Bill.
That has
Guys,
nothing to do
I'm
with
sorry,
my own
I can
business.
make this meeting really short, but we don't get to talk to each other. The parking surface, in the WOD is, GeoWeb. Bill has told me that it really doesn't work and it doesn't look very well. I think everybody should just put in your mind what we might wanna change that to that might be less expensive and more aesthetic. Bill, did you get my email from that engineer that wanted to?
I did. I apologize for not getting back with you, sir. I did
Okay.
get it, receive it.
Are you
I will get with
interested in hearing his thoughts?
May I jump in, sir, please? And I
I may
apologize.
shut you down.
I know, sir. Mr. Muse and I have discussed this issue along with city attorney, along with the assistant city manager, with our chief building official, Roger, and we're looking for different alternatives. In fact, we're about to approach our city attorney to come back to this council to bring those kinds of suggestions forward. We're moving as quickly as we can because it is, in fact, something that is onerous to all of us from Public Works through our building department with respect to that specific issue. There are new laws coming out, and what we have on the books dates back to the early 90s and is no longer, in my opinion, relevant. So we are coming back, sir, and again, I apologize, I didn't want to try and cut you off. You gave those directions, we have been following right along, sir.
Okay, and Bill, have you come up with anything you think is, or maybe you can present to us in the future that might be less expensive and more aesthetic?
Oh, absolutely. We have several things we've studied, and we certainly will be coming back with them.
Okay.
We do need to address this.
Yeah, I think that when they wrote that, it was with best intention, and GeoWeb was the new and best thing, but it doesn't really look that well. Okay, any other thoughts?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Oh, one last thing, you guys think about this enclave thing will end up being, possible.
Important, it's very
Yeah,
important.
this is possible
Big deal.
annexation stuff.
That's a big deal, a lot of money involved in that.
We're taking it.
Will,
That's your meeting with,
keep in your mind, the
Yeah.
city enclave